Which nearly forgotten position of Cornhusker lore will return in 2015, and which pages of the playbook are going to be the most scribbled out? I'll tell you right after this. Hey there, folks. Welcome to another episode of 5-Step Drop. My name is Brandon Kavanaugh. Want to welcome you all again. We have a little bit of a special feature now for y'all. I've been kind of sitting around thinking about it a little bit. Gonna have a table of contents for our interactive 5-Step Drops. I know it's kind of a pain to sit through a lot of them. Maybe you're just interested in one particular question, you want to bounce around. I totally understand. So what we're gonna do, starting today, is we're going to have a little table of contents that comes right up there. You can click through whatever you like. And speaking of which, let's start off. Alright, and our first question today is from Follow Squad. Follow Squad wants to know, what can we as fans expect from Coach Riley and staff going into the first season? Something we've seen or maybe haven't seen before? Yeah, I'll tell you one thing you're probably going to see quite a bit of is the tight end, or tight ends, plural. Yes, there is more than one out there, believe it or not, especially with the commit of tight end Matt Snyder. Matt may see some time right away, but just kind of backing up to the start, we're going to see, obviously we've talked about that pro style. With the elements that Nebraska has, I think you're going to see a little bit more power, something that if you've watched Stanford much over the past few years, when Harbaugh was there, and even now with Dave Shaw, we've seen that power element that's been very successful for them. I think that would actually be very successful in the Big Ten, and you're probably going to see elements of that. Also, you're going to see DeMornay personnel used in a number of ways. I can only imagine the kind of stuff that Mike Riley is going to come up with, but I will tell you, there was a young man by the name of Brandon Cooks, if you're not familiar with him. He won the Blitnikoff Award for Best Wide Receiver in the nation back in 2013. And I can only imagine what Mike Riley has drawn up for him. Now let's talk about that tight end here for a second. I'm going to bring up a little play that's been floating around the internet a bit that kind of shows what I think we're going to see quite a bit of this season. As you can see here, this is Oregon State against Wisconsin. So hey, what an appropriate screenshot to be showing, right? What you see here is actually on the line. You'll see there's an additional either offensive lineman, or you could do like a 2 tight end set. You see there are your standard guys up on the line of scrimmage. You've got 1 tight end on the line of scrimmage and 1 back, either maybe in an H-back situation. You're probably going to see a little bit more of this bunched up stuff, especially with the backs that are already there with Amani Cross, Adam Taylor, Mikhail Wilbon. A lot of these guys are, I'm not going to say power backs, but they're not Amir Abdullah as far as what we've seen. So that's probably what you're going to see. That's a little taste of what you see. You'll probably see a little bit of that in the spring game. Another thing that I would probably say is you're going to see quite a bit of mistakes. Honestly, there's going to be some rough patches because obviously they got to go in and find a quarterback depth chart, which we'll talk about here in the second question. But I think as time goes on, we will see things solidify a little bit. You'll definitely see more passing in general. It's like when people were talking about at the end of the season, well, why wasn't Westerkamp getting into things? Why wasn't this person? Why wasn't this person? And then being shocked when Ethan Carter was getting catches, right, plural. I don't see that happening with Riley. So that is what I believe you will see, or just basically a lot of stuff that maybe people felt should be happening under Pelini, with what was there anyway. So I think if I had to say overall what we haven't seen in Lincoln, tight ends, the reinvention perhaps of the tight ends. Remember Matt Harrion? Those highlights, stuff like that. This one is from Tunnel Walk. Yes, the person who tweeted at me was legitimately at least titled Tunnel Walk. Do you think the offense or defense is going to be easier to install in year 1? Definitely the defense, usually is the case in spring ball, definitely going to be the case in 2015. Why? Well, you've got a pro-style offense kind of going in. It's going to look obviously a little bit different from what we're familiar with Tim Beck's kind of sort of Oregon's read option, but at the same time trying to cram other stuff in there. But now there's one basic centerpiece, and you're trying to build off around that. You're building to the people that you have. Now, as far as the defense, we're basically working from the inside out. Remember, if you haven't seen the past videos I've had, I've talked about building from the outside in, and that went for the pocket. For this on defense, we're going to be talking about the defensive tackles, where Hank Hughes is going to be taking over for the defensive lineman. And Hank, his idea of defense is playing aggressive and playing to move a play from the inside out. Great concept, I know. So basically, what he wants to do is have these defensive tackles just make plays. Easy enough. Go get the ball, right? Malik Collins, Vincent Valentine, just go get the ball. That's great. So when we look back to 2014, we had guys like Josh Banderas trying to go up against other guys who had 100 pounds on them, and this was something that Coach Hughes was saying. Obviously, 9 times out of 10, who's going to win that battle, right? So the whole idea is to let the guys up front make plays, and if nothing else, that drags the plays to the outside where linebackers are going up against guys one-on-one, and that helps another defender, the 12th man, the sideline, come into play, or, if they're shooting a safety on some run support or cornerback blitz, something like that. Obviously, there's support there too. So there's that. The other thing is, I think a lot of it is just fundamentals. Tackling, basic strips, really easy stuff like that needs to be re-emphasized. Just strip back to basics. So that makes it, I want to say, easier, but you know what you're dealing with, and it's something that you can create different drills for to really, well, pardon the pun, but drill at home. Now, the cornerbacks, back with Coach Warren, Coach Banker, defensive coordinator Banker, isn't going to have to necessarily worry about those cornerbacks as much, at least from a Pac-12 perspective, because he's not going to have guys like, or pardon me, teams like Oregon, Washington State, etc., just air raiding, or if at all necessary, passing that much. In the Big Ten, obviously not going to go up against that much passing. However, still necessary to have quality run support, still necessary to have a quality secondary. Coach Warren should be able to take care of that. So the good news is, basically the front seven, as has been asked of me, but the front seven is going to be the bigger query, and I think it's going to be the easier one to install, because again, like I talked about before, you look on the other side of the ball, you've got to get a quarterback depth chart down. Then out of the people that you've got to say, okay, what do they need fixed? What mechanics do they need? What do we got to do here, and here? Yeah, and again, there are going to be mistakes, there's going to be hiccups. The question is, when spring to fall to kickoff, day number 1, BYU, that game to the end of the season, has there been progress? And if it's obvious that the fan base can say yes and Coach Riley can say yes, that's positive stuff. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's the defense, but at the same time, there will be, hopefully there is a little bit of give and take, but I've got to say the defense overall. I mean, that's typically what you get in the spring, fall, and in this situation, defense, just going out and playing nasty defense, being a good old-fashioned Blackshirt defense, well, heck of a lot easier than installing a new offense. That's going to do it for today's episode of 5-Step Drop. If you guys tried the table of contents system and you enjoyed it, please let me know in the comment section below. I always want to optimize your viewing experience and make it as enjoyable and as interactive as possible. You are my children, so be sure to let me know. Also, if you do have any questions for a future episode of 5-Step Drop, leave them in the comment section below. Agree, disagree, of course, please let me know. Subscribe to the channel, hang on, and check out the couple of videos I got coming afterwards here for you. Also, check out 8laces.com, where we've got new content coming out when I'm just having a tickly bit of a voice, or I just feel free like I need to write instead of talk. That's where you can find some good stuff as well. So, in the interim, I continued to tease once the coaches are all officially named, and as of this taping, we're waiting on just one more. I got something for you. So, and I'm gonna put quite a bit of work into it. So, we'll see. Anyway, in the meantime, take care, stay safe, go Big Red.